Hello, gorgeous ladies. Welcome to this evening's masterclass. We are here for week 2 of the Deeply Satisfied Woman Immersion. And tonight we are going to be exploring the second of 5 traits from my recently released guide that I would love for you to check out if you haven't yet read it, which is called The 5 Traits of All Deeply Satisfied Successful Women and How to Cultivate Them. And tonight's trait is number 2, and it is relishing in receiving. And I'm super excited to be sharing this one with you because it's juicy and also really loaded. It's got content and story around it and in it and embedded in it. So it's going to be a really fun one to explore and unpick and unthread together. So before we dive in, just a couple of little housekeeping pieces. And if you were here last week, there's a little bit of a repetition, but bear with me because we have had some people sign up throughout the week. Basically, this session is being recorded, so please bear that in mind with whatever you choose to share throughout the call. This recording of the session will be made available to other ladies who are signed up. There's women from all sorts of different time zones registered. So hello, if you're tuning into the recording, we love you and you're very much part of this adventure as well, even if you're not here for the physical call times. And so yeah, there'll be people watching this recording who are part of this immersion, but not here and present tonight. And we'll go for between 60 and 75 minutes. And that will be the same for the next 3 weeks, which I'd love you to be here. And finally, if you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, I'd love you to be part of it. I am dropping some interesting extra juicy pieces in there. Last week I interviewed one of my amazing clients and I'll be doing the same thing again tomorrow. So if you're not yet part of that group, please come in and check it out. Welcome to Rena, you made it. Yay. All right, gorgeous, gorgeous ladies. There's one more person to let in. Woo-hoo. Receiving. Let's talk about receiving, because as I said, it is a loaded topic. Let's just, by a show of hands, who is aware of the sensation of getting a bit like hot under the collar when the focus is on you for a little too long, or someone pays you a compliment and you're not quite sure how to let it in, or maybe you're in bed with your lover and like the attention has been on your pleasure for a little bit and you're like, oh, I need to move it on because that feels hard to stay in. Or there's some opportunity in your world. I'm loving watching you two ladies share a set of headphones. That's really fun. Welcome, Terry. Thank you for joining us.
Excuse me. Apologies.
All good, all good. So who can relate to some of or all of those experiences and sensations? Right. Okay. So there's so many ways that life wants to give to you. And when I say life, there are subsets of life and people are part of that, obviously. Yeah, people want to love you and support you. They want to give you opportunities. They want to care for you. They want to encourage and be in your world in ways that are of benefit to you. And sometimes that can be really hard to let in because it brings up all of our stuff around what does that mean about me and can I really let that happen, etc., etc. Last week we talked about nourishment. We talked about you learning to prioritize your fullness and to prioritize the things that support you to feel nourished and full in your life.
Indeed.
And relishing in receiving is really about your ability to let life like drip, pour, splash, drizzle that nourishment on and into you. And for you to be like a glutton for it, to be like, yes, thank you. Of course, I'm worthy of all of the things that I want. Of course I am. Of course. But of course there's an opportunity coming your way. But of course there's abundance moving into your life. But of course. I had this experience recently while we were overseas traveling. My partner and I have just spent 7 weeks in the States, and I was at a service station. We were having some trouble with our credit card while we were overseas. It didn't matter how many times we spoke to the bank. Hey, Jody, welcome. It didn't matter how many times we spoke to the bank. It seemed to just keep getting blocked while we were traveling, and it was so frustrating. And we're in a totally different time zone, trying to get on the phone to the Australian bank to be like, hey, we can't use our credit card again, we need to put fuel in our car or something, sitting in a service station in America. And I was at the service station and I just wanted to buy a coffee, and our card was just not working. I knew there was money on it, all of that jazz. And the man at the service station maybe felt a little bit sorry for me. Whatever was going on, he was feeling generous, and he said, it's okay, I've got you. It's all right. Like, I've got your coffee. It was like a $3 coffee or something. And I felt myself go, like, the impulse to be like, no, don't worry about it. It's fine. This is my fault that my card's not working. Of course, like, it's not your problem. You don't need to, like, all of this contortion, because it was uncomfortable to let this stranger pay for a $3.50 coffee for me. And I caught it and I took a big deep breath. And I said, thank you so much. That is so generous. And I feel a bit embarrassed needing to let a stranger buy me a coffee, but I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And I stumbled out of the service station. And it was a $3.50 coffee. I'm sure that we have to be able to trust that the people in our lives are giving to us, not because they feel sorry for us, not because they're going to put themselves out, because they're going to give to us to the point that they've got nothing left for themselves. We have to trust the people who are around us to be sovereign in their choice, in their power, in their adultness, to give to you in a way that is serving them. And if they don't, that's actually not up to you to manage. It wasn't up to me to manage the service station man who wanted to give me a $3.50 coffee. It was just up to me to manage my reaction to it. And you know what? I felt fantastic. I walked out of there and I was like, wow, that was beautiful. What a generous, gorgeous thing. And because I could let it in, I got to enjoy my coffee. He probably felt great, because doesn't it feel good when you do something kind for somebody? Yeah. And actually, it was such a tiny thing. It was so inconsequential, $3.50. American dollars, sure. So it was like 12 Australian dollars. I'm joking, the dollar's not quite that weak, but it felt like it after our holiday. So I'm sure you can all think of, I noticed a lot of heads bobbing along when I was telling that story. I'm sure you can all think of moments in time where it has been hard to let life give to you. And so I am excited to explore this, because it is such a loaded thing. We all have content around this. And I want to start by, just as a shared popcorn sort of sharing experience, what are the belief systems and stories that you're aware of? What do we as a society say about women who are really good at receiving? What's the collective narrative about her? Unmute yourself, type it in the chat box, whatever works for you. What do we say about that woman who lets herself receive from life? Yep, she's selfish, she's greedy.
She's a princess.
She's a princess. Yes, tell me more. This is so good. Come on.
Just asking you, what happened with the petrol? Did you get the petrol as well?
I wasn't filling up, fortunately. In America,
Okay, only
actually,
joking.
they make you pay for the petrol first, which is probably a good thing given our card situation. Yeah, she's up herself. She's so entitled. Oh, she's so greedy. She's so selfish. What else? There's some other really juicy ones here. She thinks she's better than everybody else. Yeah.
I think that
But all
depends
of
on.
them,
Oh, sorry. Good. That
all of
depends
them
on.
implicitly mean that she thinks she's worthy.
Yes.
And who would she be to think that?
Oh gosh, yes, totally. Yes, she thinks she deserves to have that thing. And she didn't even do anything for it. Can you believe that? She didn't do anything for that. Terry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, with me, depends who is the offer, who's the giver. Who's the giver? You know, with Christmas, I've got classes and I've got ladies that I don't even know them, and they brought me some presents because we had an early Christmas party. It was very okay. I took it as a natural. That depends. I think for me, it depends on the giver.
Yeah,
if it's someone I regard superior in inverted commas,
sure.
It's a bit what's going on. But if I don't. Yeah. So, but if it's someone that it's same level like me or sort of things, a friend or something, that's fine. That's fine because I do the same, so that's okay.
Sure. So there's the story there of like, well, let me decide if I'm allowed to receive from this person.
But it takes milliseconds. Instantly, yes.
Who does she think she is? You've said, Trixie. Another good one. And another one is like, what's she done to deserve that? What's she done? Is she doing enough? And if this woman is also someone who allows herself to inhabit her sensuality and her allure, she's going to be called a slut or a like gold digger, maybe, if the person that she's receiving from is a man, potentially. Yeah. So we can see there's so much loaded narrative around what it means, who we're allowed to receive from, what we need to have done to receive anything, what it means about us, what other people are going to think. Like, no wonder it's okay in mutual relationships. I'll shout you later. Sure. Like, yeah, you pay for a drink this time, I'll pay for a drink next time, right? For sure. There's so much stuff here. There's so much stuff here. It's like, I feel like we all walked into this call shouldering some baggage, right? Because this is really loaded, and no wonder women's systems, women's bodies contract when life comes at them with beauty. When life is like, hey, would you like some of this? We're like, oh, I'm not sure. Can I? Can I let that in? And we will all go on, Natalie. Yeah, awesome.
It just came another thing in my mind, like the feeling of, oh, do you really believe he means that? He's just, trying to get you a bit naive. You think he likes you, but he actually just wants something else. Or
what does this person want because they're giving it to me?
Yeah.
Yep. That's a really good one. Yeah. So then there's like the giving hangover of the like suspicion of like, what strings are attached to this that I'm not aware of? What does this mean? It's really, really good one. Thank you. Thank you all.
And evolving from that, the sense of gullibility in the situations, like, of course, well, how could you believe that it didn't have strings attached?
Yeah. Yeah. So then there's shame. Yeah. So thank you all so much for sharing. That's really rich and dynamic and like potent to feel all of you so here in the understanding of this. And so we will all have very different, because we are unique creatures with a unique nervous system and a unique sort of set of life experiences behind us and lineage, etc. a unique pattern when it comes to receiving. Some of you might be really good at receiving money, but really crummy at receiving like emotional support and like tending and attunement and care. You get really hard and weird when someone tries to look after your heart. Some of you might be, Jody, that was a like, beautiful, thank you. Sorry for calling you out. It was just a really great, perfect face in that moment. Some of you might be really great at sharing like emotional intimacy and closeness with people and really know that it's okay to call on your friends for support when something is challenging. But when it comes to money, oh my God, hard. Yeah, we all have a different blueprint and there's no right or wrong. But what I want to guide you into next is getting a little bit more clarity around what your blueprint is and where you can allow life to to move through you and where it might get contracted and like kinks in the pipe. Yeah. And just before we dive in with that, somebody shared something really beautiful last week. It might have actually been you, Suzanne, and I know you're not unmuting yourself, uncameraing yourself, but you were talking about wealth. I can't remember exactly what you said last week, but we sort of had a little prelude to last week and a prelude to this last week, which is that like women are literally physiologically designed to receive. Yeah, we receive sperm and we create and then birth a child, if that is your desired thing to do, because we get to choose. Our physical biology is designed as a receptive creature. Yeah. Another way to describe this is that we receive intuitive ideas. We turn them into creations and then we move them into the world. One of my wonderful mentors talks about intuitive ideas as like the ejaculate of the gods that comes down and into your mind, which is sort of just fun visual. And then you get to turn those intuitive ideas into whatever it is that you desire and move them out into the world. That literally in your biology, in your design, you are created to receive. And yet so many of us have learnt that our value comes from the things that are when we're putting out. Yeah, when we're pouring out. And it's not that we shouldn't do those things, because it's beautiful to be caring. And in the same way that we can say that we're designed to receive, we're also designed to give. Yeah, but that is the point. We are designed to do both. We are designed to drink in nourishment from life and then pour it out of us. Drink it in and pour it out. And that can look however is appropriate and rightful for you, because every person is different. Maybe the way that you want to pour out is through a business or a career that's really meaningful to you. Maybe you want to pour out into a family or like a creative outlet, or doesn't really matter how, but the way that life wants to move through you is beautiful and perfect and unique for you, but it wants to move through you. It doesn't just want to pour out of you from nowhere. Yeah, it wants to give to you as well. So let's explore where the kinks in that pipe might be that are stopping you from really drinking in all of the goodness. So you can choose to leave your camera on if you would like or not. We're just going to go into a short sort of embodied process to explore the map of receiving that you carry around in your system all the time, because as Terry so beautifully pointed to, these decisions about, can I let myself receive from this person, or like any of the stuff that you guys were all talking about, happens in such a split second. It happens so fast, which means that it is not our conscious mind going, I wonder, should I let myself receive from this person? Like sometimes we have those thoughts, but more often than not, this is so deeply habitual. It's all woven into the nervous system. It's in your deep sort of body psyche. And it's going to be an automatic response. So we want to, when we're exploring these sorts of patterns and learning to understand them and work with them, we want to be in the body and feeling and noticing the sensations and the stories and the emotions and everything that actually come up in the presence of receiving in this case. So I would love for you to close down your eyes, just put everything out of your hand and sit in a situation or a position that feels comfy and relaxing to you. Beautiful. Just closing your eyes. And that was a little heady. We've talked about all of the things. So we're just going to take a moment to drop down into your body. Just taking some big inhales through your nose, letting your belly, abdominal muscles be soft, your belly button hang away from your spine. And big exhale through your mouth, like you're sighing out the day. Letting your shoulders drop away from your ears. That's such a place where we can hold tension. Letting your jaw be soft, like your jaw is a hammock hanging between two palm trees. And just while you're dropping into your body, doing those nice, deep, slow belly breaths, just noticing whatever sensations are here and present with you. There might be mental sensations, physical sensations, emotional sensations. And I want to welcome that there is, like, all of those are so allowed to be here, and you also don't have to do anything with them. We're just going, oh, that's a sensation. Cool. That's a thought. Oh, that's all right. And bringing your presence back to your breath. Ever so gently, I'd just like to invite you to see if there's a way that your physiology could be even softer. Maybe you want to do some like circles with your shoulders. Maybe you want to sway left to right. We're just going to invite some space and some softness into your physiology, through your spine, through your hips, perhaps, through your shoulders and neck, just noticing where your body could use some gentle moving, maybe some wiggling, maybe even some touch. Maybe you want to give your shoulders a squeeze or your legs a squeeze, or just a way that your body could be supported to be even softer. And giving that to yourself. Okay. So ladies, I want you to say to yourself, and I'll say this in a couple of different ways. I want you to say to yourself, like you're saying to your body, show me my relationship with receiving. Said differently, it's like you're going to imagine receiving. Imagine all the things that we just spoke about of like what comes up for you when you think about receiving. And the reason I've dropped you into your body first is because I want you to notice everything that comes up when you think about receiving and imagine receiving. I want you to notice the physical sensations, the places where your body might contract a little bit, or maybe you might even even it's like an energetic sense of feeling like you get a little smaller or a little hard. Maybe it feels really spacious and you're like, oh yes, receiving, bring it on. And if that's the case, yum and yay. What are the mental sensations? What are the thoughts, the stories, the memories that come up when you think about receiving? What are the emotions attached to those memories? Maybe there's yearning, desire, fear, achiness, excitement, sadness, numbness. Just noticing whatever is in your beautiful and perfectly unique to you system when it comes to this very loaded topic. I really want to reiterate that whatever you're noticing or feeling is perfect. There is no right or wrong. You might be like a little frozen and stuck, or maybe really upset or really delighted. And I know that there'll be women tuning into this replay and following along. So whatever's coming up for you as you go through this journey is perfect as well. Welcome yourself just as you are. Remember, there is no right or wrong. We are here to learn from ourselves by listening deeply, listening to all the thoughts and feelings and sensations that reveal themselves. This is like an information gathering experience. Now I'm going to list, in no particular order, a variety of ways or areas of life where we might receive, ways that we might receive. And I just want you to listen to your body. Listen to this thermostat or barometer that you live inside of. There might be some of these that your body is like, oh yeah, I want to receive that. And then there might be some that your body is like, oh, no way. And there's no right or wrong. We're just getting curious. So listening to your body as I name these different potential areas of receiving. Receiving compliments. Like, wow, you did such an amazing job on that project. That was just so incredibly well put together. Or you look absolutely gorgeous in that. Taking a nice big deep breath. Receiving money. Receiving money. I want to give you some money. How much money would you like? How much would you ask for? No strings attached. What do you notice? And as in each of these areas, you might notice the story that comes up. Well, oh yeah, okay, compliments all right, but money, I have to do a lot to get that. The story might say. Pleasure. What's it like to receive pleasure? And that might be the pleasure of walking slowly through a park and stopping to sniff the roses because they're in bloom and it's sunny and there's a breeze on your skin, and it might make you a minute and a half later to where you were going, but can you let that moment in? And it might also be you and your friends sitting around at a movie night, rubbing each other's backs, and you starting to feel, oh my God, I feel like my massage has been going on for too long. This feels weird now. Or in bed with a lover who just wants to give you pleasure? What's that like? Can you receive pleasure? What happens in your system when you imagine receiving pleasure? Opportunities, professional, business related or career related opportunities. Attention in a social setting. What have you been up to? Tell me more. Oh, tell me more about your life. What's been happening for you? I really want to hear it. How is it for you when the attention is on you in a social setting? Nice, big, deep breath. If you're noticing that you feel a little numb, give your body a little move. If you'd like, just give yourself a little wriggle. What's it like to receive support when somebody wants to just show up in your world and have your back? What's that like? And finally, just giving some space for you to notice anything else that could be present for you around receiving. There might be an area that's relevant for you that I haven't mentioned, in which case I'd love to hear it after this process. But in general, just noticing, is there anything else that you can learn in this moment right here from this beautiful body of yours, this system of yours that houses all the information you could possibly need to know about yourself? So one more nice big deep breath all together, and then I want to invite you to slowly flutter your eyeballs open and come back into the group. And I just want to invite some sharing. Love to hear a couple of voices of what they learned, what you learned. Maybe that was really challenging. Maybe you got a little numb. Maybe you noticed that it was really clear that there were some areas where there's big kinks in the pipe and others where it was easier. I'd just love to hear your experience. Excuse me. Who has something they'd like to share? What did you notice from that?
I have a very externalized sense of what's okay.
Externalized.
So
can you say more about that?
I was thinking about bonuses or other professional things or opportunities. Like the whether or not that's okay for me depends on what everybody else has received, because like that's how I justify it. Oh no, this is just appropriate. This is normal. Like I override whatever I feel internally by checking around.
Yes.
Like visually, but also I found myself in a situation some months back where I was on like basically a dream vacation with someone, and I literally at times had to pretend that I was somebody else because I have shame about being seen even by myself, being seen to be receiving that much.
Yeah.
It's like when you're eating ice cream out of the container, right? You get it. It's okay because it's on the down low. So I could pretend that I was somebody else, and it's amazing to receive all of this, but I can't actually be me and receive all of this. It's like almost a form of dissociation. But like that's how I kept myself from being, spitting myself up.
Yeah, totally being like, oh, how am I going to be with this? Yeah. I like that you found like a sneaky side door to manage your brain in that experience, so you could let yourself be in it as opposed to sort of contorting and getting weird and like pushing that person away or like punishing yourself for being there, because we do all sorts of bizarre things when we're at our receiving edge. Yeah. Like we will contort in magical ways to be like, don't love me that much, please. Ha ha.
Yeah. And one of the other things that I did, one of the other contortions, was because I don't feel like these things this nice happen to people like me, whatever the hell that means. I was like, I don't have any context for this except in the setup of a tragic romantic movie in which like things are so awesome, and then the rest of the movie is about how they all fall apart.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing such good information. Yeah, it's like this is really rich because we've got lots of material to work with now. Trixie, thank you for sharing. You said the hardest were receiving support and admiration, which feels different to compliments. That's a really good one. I like that. They were harder, and then easiest was pleasure, attention, opportunities, and money. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great to be able to discern. Could you feel, can I use you as a like thumbs up, thumbs down example, because there's a really clear like list of easy and difficult there. Could you feel the like sharp relief in the contrast between how they felt in your body? What was that like? Or was it more subtle for you? Yeah, you could. Yeah.
I don't know if the voice is going to work.
Oh,
yes,
we
I
can
definitely
kind of hear you
feel it.
now.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I could feel it. My chest was really tight and my throat really tight in the ones that didn't feel comfortable.
Yep.
But in the others, I felt quite expanded and my body didn't feel tight.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So just in case the sound didn't come through, because it is still a little muffly, I'm just going to reiterate for the recording that you shared, and just nod, like, tell me if I've got this right, that you shared like chest and throat felt really tight and you felt contracted when they were challenging. And there was a sense of feeling more expansive with the ones that were easeful. It's like you got bigger and you settled. Yeah. So you can feel just from the description of those two, how and why, when the ones that come up that result in Trixie's throat and chest tightening, she's just gonna like, that's her body just going, oh, I need to get out of this situation. Like, we see like animals will contort away from a painful sensation. It is literally the same thing. It's your body going like, oh, how do I get away from this sensation? Because there is some, and I'm not just zeroing in on you because we all have this, there is some story, narrative, trauma, belief system, something in your system there that says this is not safe. Yeah, because our bodies, our system, this gorgeous creature that we live inside of is oriented towards keeping itself alive. Yeah. So when you go towards a something that is threatening to your survival, like according to the story that is trapped in this storehouse, in this filing cabinet that you live inside of, it will go, oh, I'll just do this so that we don't go near that thing that's not safe. And that might look like your throat closing up and you pushing an opportunity away, or admiration or a compliment or whatever it is that's hard for you as an individual to receive, going like, oh, no, that's okay. When, oh my God, deep down inside, you're like, yes, I want that thing. Oh, I want it so bad. But and maybe you're not even conscious of it. Maybe there are layers of conditioning there that are like, I really believe that I don't want that. I believe that I don't need that. So there's different levels to this, right? And there's no right or wrong. And as you can feel and hear and see as we're climbing more and more into this topic, this is nuanced and complex, yeah? We're on like an information gathering journey this evening to explore and understand yourself better in this area, but truly to become masterful at receiving, there's a journey to go on here. There's work to do to support your system to let life move through. So Trixie, I'm going to use your body examples again, because they were really beautiful. That in those places where you felt expanded, where Trixie felt expanded and spacious and settled, you can imagine that life can move through her and life can move through you more easily than if you're going here and being like a croissant. You guys can like imagine, just nod along with me if that makes sense. Yeah. And so that's why our body is so important when we're exploring this stuff, because it gives you the immediate feedback of, can I let life through? No, or yes. And it might be really subtle as you're learning to attune to these things, but it's really important. So, I just want to check in with you all. Is this making sense? Is there anything that you have questions about so far or that feels unclear? I want to make sure that we're all like together. I really love, Catherine, you've shared things that came up for us was the feeling that we need to pay for the right to receive. Nothing in life is free. And we realize we have a lot of work to do. Bless you both. Got it, Trixie. Awesome. Thank you.
Trixie. You call her Trixie.
And then wondering about the hidden cost. Yeah. Thank you, Jody.
I just noticed that I'm actually capable of receiving all of these things, but it's dependent on the people that I'm around.
Yeah.
So basically, if I'm around people that also like to receive and who also enjoy it, I'm like, yes, I love this.
Great.
But if I'm around people that I feel like they feel a bit, why is she enjoying it so much? And like, this is a bit weird, or they are not available to that.
Yes.
Then I feel like, oh no, if I'm enjoying it myself so much, they don't like me. So I detach and stay cool, and I don't need this either in order to remain in the attachment with them to be, And there's also a sense of shame of enjoying it so much. And to be seen in that enjoyment is quite intimate, because you're showing the raw, or I'm showing in that moment the raw me that loves the pleasure or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's very an intimate moment. So if they judge me in that moment, that's really, really sensitive.
Yeah.
So it really depends on how comfortable I feel with the people around me.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, Jody is so right. Like, it's so good, that awareness of being able to see and discern the things that make your system contract, and when and why, and like where you trade approval for your own receiving even. And it does, like, it is so intimate. And here's another layer of this receiving piece that you spoke to so beautifully. The intimacy of receiving is that when you receive, you are allowing yourself to be penetrable. Yeah. And you sure, like in a physical, like physiological, sexual way, that might be a really physical, like tangible level thing, but energetically, emotionally, you are making yourself penetrable when you open to receive from life. When you open to receive from people, you are like, your system has to dilate for you to be able to take in whatever it is that is being offered. And that is incredibly vulnerable and very intimate. So yeah, beautifully, beautifully said, Natalie. Thank you so much. People around you can reduce openness to receiving. Yeah, Catherine, awesome. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Women, thank you. You are doing a fabulous job. So to really become like masterful at receiving requires you to rewrite two things. And we've already spoken to them quite a bit in our discussion, but I want to name them to make them really clear. One is your desire. That your desire is your desire for a thing, to have a thing from life, in life, is like initiatory energy. It is the spark of creation through which life whispers to you and says, oh, that thing, go get that thing, and moves you into action, or moves you into positioning yourself in life in such a way that means that you can have that thing. whether it's money or a relationship or more quality time with your partner, or like whatever it is that you notice the spark of desire for. But again, all of that stuff that we spoke about right at the beginning of our call, of like what we as culturally say about a woman who lets herself receive, we say all of those things and worse about a woman who lets herself be in her desire. Yeah. And so if you have spent a lifetime of shutting your desire down when it pops up, it can be excruciating to touch your desire. It can be like painful to go near and towards the thing that you desire, or even letting yourself feel your desire for that thing, because it sort of shines the torchlight or the spotlight on the gap that you might perceive between where you are and having that thing. And so then you get to feel all of the feelings of like hopelessness and collapse and, oh my God, can I really let myself have that? And I'm not worthy of that, etc., etc. So we've spent so much time in our lives, so many of us anyway, and I hope that it doesn't apply to everybody here, but unfortunately, so many people have spent a lot of time clamping down on their desire because it can be painful. And the second thing we need to rewrite is your worthiness. And I spoke to it just there at the end of desire, is that if you carry in your blueprint, in your inherited nervous system, in your psyche, a story that says, I can't have that because, or I'm not wanted, or I'm not good enough, or I'm like all of the possible stories that we could have about ourselves, then even if you consciously want something, your body will do the little subtle contractions, your system will do the little subtle contractions and contortions that help you sort of maneuver out of the way of being in the hot seat of the sensation of having to let that thing in that challenges your narrative about yourself. Your deep unconscious narrative is what I mean. Yeah. So when we are looking at bringing a thing into your life, receiving more of a thing, we have to explore both, oh my God, can I let myself touch my desire, my yearning for that thing? Can I bear the vulnerability of that? And what is my story about whether or not I can have that thing? What is my belief system tell me? And not at a conscious level, because most of us are very good now at saying like, oh, of course I'm worthy of having more money, or of course I'm worthy of blah. Yeah. But deeply, what does your unconscious believe? What does your system tell you? Yeah. Oh, juicy. So take a big deep breath for me and just give yourselves a little wriggle. It feels heavy. And so welcoming all of the content that is here. You ladies are doing a fabulous job. And I want to go into another little embodied process with you as we're beginning to move towards a close. So again, you're welcome to leave your cameras on and off, whatever feels best for you. And I'm going to invite you to put everything out of your hands and get into a comfy position and close down your eyes. We're going to take a couple of nice big deep breaths, and I just want you to move your body a little. It's like we're going to move some life force and energy through, so you're not sitting just in all of the the gravitas of all of that we were just exploring, because it does have some density and some heaviness. You might want to give yourself a wriggle again. Might want to make a funny sound, give a big sigh. We don't want to sit in that stagnant sensation anymore. Okay, so feeling yourself, feeling your beautiful system. Whatever is here in this moment is so welcome. And just the same as earlier, you said to your system, you said to your body, your psyche, your unconscious, however you want to relate to it, you said, show me my relationship with receiving. I want to say to your system now and ask this question, show me the full possibility of my life if I was a master at receiving. Show me what could be possible for me if I could let in compliments and admiration, if I could let in money and pleasure and professional opportunities and bonuses and attention, and just feeling for yourself what comes up, feeling and noticing again. Seeing, maybe you will see a version of yourself or imagine a version of yourself. Maybe you will feel sensations in your body of warmth and openness and relaxation and fullness or pleasure or tingling. Maybe you'll notice that your body isn't that able to receive this possibility, and you'll notice some sadness or some like, oh, I'd really like to have that, but I don't quite believe I can, or just noticing what comes up for you. If you were a master at receiving, and maybe master is a little bit strong because I don't know that we ever really become fully masterful at anything in our lives, because we're wonderful bumbling humans and we're all making our way through, just doing our best and growing over time. So maybe like, what if I had a significantly bigger capacity to receive? If that question feels better, try that one on. And just breathing and feeling and noticing those sensations, mental, emotional, physical sensations in your body, how your heart feels, how your pelvic bowl feels. What's it like when you let yourself really drink in all of the nourishment that life wants to pour into you? When things come your way, want to come your way, and you can say yes. And I want to invite you to try something on for me, that you use your breath like you're drinking in that thing now. Yeah, so it's like, oh, nom, 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 nom. Yes, thank you. You don't have to make my weird noises if you don't want to, but just drink, like imagine that your breath is inviting into you this possibility of receptivity. Drinking it in. It's like nourishment for your cells in this moment. Maybe this even brings to mind all of the things that you'd like to receive more of, or maybe one thing really clearly. And if that's the case, then welcoming that, just letting yourself feel your desire, your want for that thing. We're going to have one more nice big deep breath together. Knowing that you can come back and revisit this at any time, just gently fluttering your eyes open again and returning to our group. And again, I'd love to hear from a few of you. I'd love to hear what that was like, what you noticed, maybe what was different to the process that we went through earlier, what you felt, what sensations were present, what you saw.
So for me, that was fantastic. It was So the previous exercise sort of made me, I guess, constrict, especially in the chest and in the arms and in the upper body. Whereas this process, I saw myself as being very light and able to give more, but without it all dragging me down. So it was sort of like I was more in tune with the energy of life. And what I actually saw was this beautiful lady in a beautiful cloak, with very fine and refined, very elegant movements, who sort of embodied sunshine and positive light, and just, it's almost like everything she touched was good.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. I can feel it while you're describing. Yeah. I'm like, oh, yum. Yeah, there's a real generosity available to us when we're full to overflowing. Yeah, it's like we actually get to give more in the ways that are important to us. When you let yourself receive, you have more capacity. Yeah, I really felt the quality of gratitude in that woman that you described, Anya. Yeah, could you feel that as well? That's
yes. Yeah. It's not like she took anything for granted.
Yeah,
it's it was very much a case of just this really open acceptance, and then allowing that to flow on into other events in her life as a result.
Yeah,
it was very gracious and beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. There is that quality of like exquisite vulnerability here again, that is like, can we let life bring us to our knees with how much it wants to give to us? Yeah, even if it breaks your heart, that it's like, oh my God, can I let this much in? Yeah, and I heard that in the way that you spoke about her not taking anything for granted. It's like, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, this is huge, but can I let this in? Oh wow, I'm so moved by this. Let yourself be moved by life. Yeah, let yourself be brought to your knees. Let yourself be opened by life, as you so beautifully described earlier, Natalie, the beauty, the intimacy of receiving. Anybody else would like to share that, what that was like for them?
For me, it felt similar. So I felt much more open and light in my chest, and sort of like shining out. And, you know, like, I feel like when you're shining out, there's nothing bad that can come in, because the stream goes outwards. And also more like happy and feminine person. And it just comes from within. It's not like dependent on anything else, really.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. It's like an overflowing generosity and warmth in what you described. It's really, really beautiful. Yeah, it's like you can see from just these two ladies sharing, it's like you are actually in deep service of life when you let life give to you. Because for both of you who have just shared, if you showed up as that woman that you just described, I'm going to imagine that you would be better parents, partners, wives, daughters, sisters, all of the things that you are in your lives, if you let yourself receive enough that you could be that. Would you agree? Yeah, like your families would benefit, your workplaces would benefit, your friends would benefit from you being that woman that you just described.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. You are in deep service to life when you let it like fill you to overflowing. You're not doing anybody any favors by like kinking the hose and going, can't let that in. I'm gonna be what's the word that the words escaped me, but that like, I'm going to be above this. I don't need that. I'm not going to take more than I'm allowed to have. I'm not going to take more than my helping. Yeah, you're not doing anyone any favors when you like cock block yourself like that. So we are beginning to draw to a beautiful close, and I want to give a little, it's martyrdom. Thank you, Tracy. I called you Tracy because I was reading your name, Trixie. Thank you. And Suzanne has had to go. She said, thank you. Looking forward to watching the replay and doing the exercises when I'm feeling better. Yeah. Thank you, Suzanne. When you tune into the replay, thank you for being here. So we're drawing to a close, and I know that there has been a lot in tonight's call, and I feel like I could run a weekend on receiving. There's so much here, and I feel like we've scratched the surface. So Jodie's giving a thumbs up. Jodie will be at the weekend for receiving. So I want to give you a little recap just so that we are like super, super duper on the same page. This is such a loaded thing. Yeah, we named it all at the start. You all contributed. Excuse me. That receiving has all this story around it. It's very linked to your willingness to let yourself dilate, open, become penetrable to life. It's very linked to your willingness to let yourself feel and touch the like excruciating vulnerability and also excruciating beauty of your own desire for a something in your life. It is very linked to your narratives and your embodied stories, the ones that you've inherited, the ones that you grew up with, the ones that have been like baked into your system through challenging experiences, your narratives about who you are and what you are allowed to have and how worthy you are. Your receiving is tied into all of these things. Your body is such an important like barometer to tell you, oh, can I receive in this area or can I not? It's like a wonderful thermostat for your hotness for receiving. Thermostat's a weird analogy. And that you also got a little taste of and a feeling of what's possible if you could really let life ravish you in the way that it wants to. If you could really let life move through you in the way that it wants to, pour into you, fill you to overflowing, fill you to the point that you're going to be called all of those things that we talked about at the start of the call about that greedy woman. Who does she think she is? And you know who? I hope she thinks she is. I hope she knows she is in deep service to life because she's letting life move in the way that it wants to. So thank you so much for being here to explore relishing in receiving with me. It has been such a fun one. We also, I'm going to post some practices in the group because I haven't shared practices tonight in the call, but and actually they're in the back. They're in the relishing and receiving section of my guide, but I will drop them in the group. There's a gratitude practice in there, and there's a couple of other recommendations for letting you receive yourself and your own beauty, because that is part of this. And I've also got a beautiful client that I've worked with. Her name is Jodie, and she has had a tremendous transformation around receiving. And so tomorrow in the Facebook group at 12:30 p.m. AEDT, I'll be jumping in a live Facebook Live into the Facebook group with Jodie to ask her some questions about her transformation around receiving and what has worked really well for her to support that and what her life looks like now that she has a greater capacity to let life ravish her and to receive from it. So
is this the lady from US?
No, she's Australian.
Okay, lady. Because I listened to the
lady from last week. Yeah, my client from last week is American. She's in Wisconsin.
Yep.
Tomorrow's lady will be an Aussie lady. And I would love to see you there for that, or you can of course tune into the replay if you'll be at work. Thank you so much. I'm happy to hang around for another couple of minutes. If any of you have questions, I will stay here to answer them. Otherwise, thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning into the replay, and I'll see you all soon.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
So welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Anya. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Oh, let's